All rise, please. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. After 6 days, Jesus took with him Peter, James, and John, the brother of James, and led them up a high mountain by themselves. There he was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes came as white as the light. Just then there appeared before them Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will put up 3 shelters, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While he was still speaking, a bright cloud covered them, and a voice from the cloud said, "This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." When the disciples heard this, they fell face down to the ground, terrified. But Jesus came and touched them. "Get up," he said. "Don't be afraid." When they looked up, they saw no one except Jesus. As they were coming down the mountain, Jesus instructed them, "Don't tell anyone what you have seen until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." The true gospel of the Lord. Praise to the Lord, the Word, the light. Have a seat, gentlemen. So I say good afternoon to you. It's okay, you can speak, guys. Don't be afraid. You know, each year on the last Sunday after Epiphany, which is today, we hear the story of the Transfiguration. The scriptures speak to the transfigured nature of our Lord. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. Matthew chapter 17, verse 2. Don't you wish that your life too would shine, that it would reflect the image of Jesus? In 1977, NASA launched Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 to explore the galaxy. A recording called "The Sounds of Earth" was attached to each of the twin spacecraft. It was a message from Earth to anyone out there in the universe who might be listening. It contained music and even the sound of the human heartbeat. Over 30 years later, the person who served as the creative director of this famous project reflected on what she chose to include in the sounds of Earth. She said, "The first thing I found myself thinking of was a piece by Beethoven, something called the Cavatina movement. When I heard this piece of music, I thought this was a great, beautiful, yet sad piece of music on which Beethoven had written in the margin a word in German which meant longing. Part of what we wanted to capture in the Voyager message," she said, "was this great longing that we feel as a people." So in the end, NASA chose a great song of human longing and launched it into space. It's as if the NASA scientists were saying to the rest of the universe, this is who and what we are as human beings, creatures of longing. And hidden in that basic instruction to who we are, there are implicit questions for possible extraterrestrialists. Say that word 5 times fast. Do you feel the longing too? Or are we the only ones? If we're honest, there are times in our lives when we look around and wonder, is this all there is? Sometimes it's just a passing question, and other times it lasts for a season. We look at our life, our circumstances, and we want more. There is a restlessness, a searching, a longing for something else, something more. Some call it a crisis of the midlife. Now, this searching, this seeking has caused some to make some very unwise decisions. Some decide to get a new job, a new car, a new relationship. Others may take up a new hobby, go on a trip, or work extra hours. But in the end, well, not much that is eternally significant changes. Why? Because this yearning, this longing, is not really about the circumstances of life, of what happens to us in this life. It is about us. This restlessness, this desire for something more, generally means that we have been living life at the shallow end of the pool. It means that life and relationships have become superficial. We have been skimming across the surface. We have not gone deep. In some ways, life at the surface is easier, more efficient, and encouraged and rewarded by much of the world today. It fails, however, to fully understand what God has done. That God, through his Son Jesus Christ, has transfigured the world, and creation itself is filled with divine light. Life on the surface keeps us judging the circumstances of life, those things that happen to us. We look at our circumstances as a picture. If the picture is pretty, if it is pleasing and shows us what we want to see, then we believe, well, God is good and life is as it should be. But when we do not see what we want, then we often look for what? A new picture? A change? I would be happy if this would happen. I would be happy if others did that. That kind of attitude is living at the shallow end of the pool, skimming the surface of life. This restless searching, this longing for more, this desire for meaning is not, however, usually answered by changed circumstances. Y'all still with me? The answer is found in our heart, in our interior journey. Do we have a heart that seeks to know God's will? Do we allow the Holy Spirit to mold us, to conform us, to transform us into the image of Jesus? Brothers and sisters, we do not need to see new pictures. We do not need to see new things. We need to see the world with new eyes. The ice maker's working again. We need to see the world with new eyes. We do not need to hear a different voice. We need to hear the unchanging voice of God with different ears. We do not need to escape the circumstances of our life. We need to be more fully present in those circumstances. And when we allow this to happen, life is no longer lived at the surface. We are no longer swimming in the shallow end. If we yield to each of these life encounters through new eyes, through new ears, then they become transfigured moments. Moments when the picture of our life, in a way, becomes a window into a new world, a window into the spiritual realm where we come face to face with the transforming glory of God. Most of us, I hope, seek God in the circumstances of our life. We want God to show up, to be present, to act, to do something. We serve a God of action, a God who does, a God who yearns to interact with his people. We might think about this as the first part of the spiritual journey, a journey of discovering God in the circumstances, in all the circumstances of life. We must look and seek. Where is God in the picture? And that is exactly what the disciples have been doing up to this point. They have seen Jesus cast out demons, cure the sick, paralytics walk, the blind see, thousands are fed. Yet, at some point, if we are to mature in the faith, we must begin to discover the God who is beyond the circumstances. That is, the God who is. And this is the second part of the spiritual journey. This is moving from milk to meat of a Christian life. Jesus is leading Peter, James, and John up the mountain to discover the God who is beyond circumstances. Here in this place, their picture becomes a window by which they move into the depths of God's life, God's light, and God's love. The scriptures tell us that they were on the mountain. They saw Jesus what? Transfigured before them. His face shone as the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. Matthew 17, verse 2. The cloud overshadowed them, and the Father's voice spoke of his beloved Son. Peter wants to build dwelling places. He wants, in a way, to frame Jesus, Elijah, and Moses. It is good for us to be here, he says. He wants to preserve it. He wants to take a picture. Pictures, however, are static. On the mountain of Transfiguration, the pictures of life circumstances become much more than a picture of an event. They become a window through which we step into a new world, a new way of seeing, a new way of hearing, a new way of being. On that mountain, Jesus did not suddenly light up and become something. He was not. The disciples' eyes were opened, and they could see Jesus as he has always been. The voice in the cloud was not new. Their ears were opened, and they heard the voice that has never ceased speaking from the beginning of time. The Transfiguration is as much about them as it is about Jesus. Whenever our picture of life circumstances become a window, well, we stand in a transfigured moment. The circumstances have not changed. The event has not changed. We have changed, and that changes everything. And those transfigured moments are all around us. Every event, every encounter, every picture, every circumstance can become a transfigured moment. Every one of you can tell a story about stepping back from a picture of our life, of seeing with new eyes, listening with new ears, and discovering a window that opened. A window that opened into another world, into another way of being. Maybe it was a day you revealed to another person a secret you had carried for many years. In telling the picture as one of guilt and shame, it became an open window through which you stepped. The darkness gave way to light, the chains fell off, and forgiveness overcame sin, and glory filled your very soul. For those of you that are blessed to have children and even grandchildren, remember the moment you held your child or grandchild for the first time. For those that have, it is a vivid picture. Yes, it was a circumstance, an event, a picture of a newborn. But for those that allowed it, it was also a window that was open, that flowed with eternal love, and you were forever changed. At this point, it becomes clear that God has allowed you to experience and become a part of the mystery of creation. The window was open, and you experienced God's love and his presence in a new and glorious way. My good friend Jason tells of when he brought his firstborn home. He held his daughter Kristen in his arms for the longest time in his living room. Finally, he laid her on a blanket on the floor and just looked at her. He was overwhelmed with love, overflowing with love for this little one. Jason said, I remember saying to God, there must be a deeper word than love. I've never felt anything like this before. I began to pray, and as I was praying, God made it clear to me that this is the love I have for you. The moment was no longer a picture. A spiritual window was opened. The Lord's glory surely shone as much in your hands on that day you held your child or grandchild as it did on the Mount of Transfiguration 2,000 years ago. The spiritual realm is present not only in your very being, through the indwelling of the Holy Spirit, But the spiritual realm surrounds us. It is everywhere. It encompasses everything. Those windows of heaven, they're everywhere. If we have eyes to see and ears to hear. Jesus, Peter, James, and John came down the mountain. They could not stay there. But neither did they totally leave the mountain. My friends, they took it with them. Transfigured moments change us, sustain us, prepare us, encourage us, and guide us into the future, regardless of the circumstances we face. Don't live at the shallow end of the pool. This earth, this island in the universe, is not all that life has in store for you. This is not all there is. Every circumstance of life, every picture of life, every event in life can become an open window. You and I are a transfigured people. Open your eyes and see a transfigured world. Open your ears and hear the transfigured voice of God. Be mature in the faith. Open your heart and live a grace-filled life, a transfigured life. And if you do, our Lord promises to take you from glory to glory. Amen. Well, you know what it's time for right now? It is time for everybody's favorite part of the service, the announcements. The announcements. Can you believe it? I still think y'all just like hearing me talk. I think that's all there is to it. I don't think y'all really care about the announcements. All right, let's get going here. Compliments, concerns, suggestions, or complaints. Compliments, concerns, suggestions, complaints. You have one of those, you need one of these. This is an email address. Email us at feedback@dallasulc.com. Feedback@dallasulc.com. It's very simple. Compliments, concerns, suggestions, or complaints. Email us at feedback@dallasulc.com. Request for prayer. Pray@dallasulc.com. Another email address. Pray@dallasulc.com. You got a request for prayer? Simply email us at pray@dallasulc.com. You can remain anonymous. You can ask that your prayers be said by us during our weekly, daily prayers that we have here. We pray every day here at Dallas Universal Life Church. Or you can ask that your prayers be said on Sunday with the congregation and entered into our prayers of intercession. All you have to do is email us at pray@dallasulc.com. Hey, did you know we had a podcast? Yes. We do. We have a podcast. Can you believe it? We have a podcast. Watch some of the old ones. You'll think that's funny. You really will. It's kind of an ongoing joke. Yeah, we do have a podcast. And I tell you this every week. It's different hearing the podcast than it is being here in the church or even watching us on YouTube. It's just something different about it. If you haven't done it, if you haven't listened to it, go listen to it. And how do you get to that? Well, you go to your favorite search engine and you type in Your Path with Bishop Mark. Your Path with Bishop Mark. Very simple. If you would like to go to one of our wonderful providers, you can do that as well. And those providers would be Anchor, Pocket Casts, Stitcher, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Castbox, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and TuneIn. You can check us out on any of those. Thanks to all of those providers who host the host of our podcast is Anchor, but all the rest of them who broadcast our podcast for free. You know, you can make a difference. We are a nonprofit corporation. We rely solely on your donations to make this church work. And we could always use more help. The funds are getting kind of low right now. It's that time of the year, right before Easter, kind of things kind of slow down a little bit. So what do? Well, we need you to donate. www.dallasulc.com/giving. There's many ways you can donate there. It's all fully tax deductible. And it's a great way to invest in something that's a little more real than the stock market. If you like what you're hearing, if you like what you see here, if you like what we are and what we represent, then please consider making a donation to Dallas Universal Life Church. All you have to do is go to dallasulc.com/giving. Now, for those of us that may have more beer bottle pockets, like me, we choose to volunteer, and it's another way you can give back, and you can make a difference that way as well. Volunteering. We are all volunteers here at Dallas Universal Life Church. None of us take a salary. You can volunteer and check out our volunteer positions available at DallasULC.com/volunteer. That's not all the positions we have. If you want to come volunteer, please come. I'm sure we will find your talents and use them for something. We always are in need of help here. And so you can either see me or you can sign up there on the website at DallasULC.com/volunteer. There's so much that can be done here. And if you want to join us, please do come and volunteer. It's a great way to get to know everybody and to get involved in the church. Okay. So it's already that time of the year, folks. This Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's the beginning of Lent, followed by, of course, there's Fat Tuesday on Mardi Gras on Tuesday. It's Mardi Gras. And then we have Ash Wednesday. Lent is a time of introspective inspection, if you will. It's a time to turn the eyes inward and look at yourself and look at your life and how you're living your life and scrutinize it, to make it better. Decide that this is one time of year that you can be very selfish about your faith, and it's you looking inside and concentrating on yourself and trying to make yourself a better person, a better Christian, a better man for others in this world. Okay? Ash Wednesday services will be at 6:45 this Wednesday. That's this Wednesday, February the 26th, at 6:45 right here. It's a moving ceremony. It's done by candlelight, and it's nice. It's a time for just. It shows the beginning of this Lenten season as what it is. It's very quiet. It's very meditative. It's a lot about just going deep inside yourself and discovering yourself. And it's good to do that every year because sometimes we forget who we really are. Please be here for the 26th at 6:45 p.m. That's this coming Wednesday, folks. Okay? And y'all made it through, I think, the announcements. You did. You made it through the announcements. Okay? That wasn't so bad, was it? Yeah. So let us rise for our dismissal. Let me remind you that there is a round table following the service today. I know y'all think this is over, don't you? Mm-mm. There's still a round table. It can be as long as short as we want it to be. It's just a discussion of whatever you want to discuss. Usually we discuss the gospel, we discuss the sermon for the day, or we can discuss whatever you want to discuss. I think it'd be great to have a different angle in there and some different views. All right.
A bishop a day keeps the devil away. You're listening to Your Path with Bishop Mark from Dallas Universal Life Church in Dallas, Texas.
So I start out the round table every week this way. What did you like? What did you not like? What do you want to keep? What do you want to get rid of? Just to explain what the round table is. This is a time where it's something that I don't believe any other church in the world is doing right now. And I think it's my favorite part of the service. This is a time where I get to sit down and I've taught the whole service. You've listened to me. I've said what I had to say. Now it's your turn. It's your turn to tell me what you thought of the sermon. It's your turn to ask questions. It's your turn to talk about your life. Any questions you have about that. If at any time you want to turn off the cameras, you feel like you need some privacy, and you just want to share with the group here, that's fine as well. We can turn off the cameras. It's up to you. I don't have any problem doing that. Also, just if you feel like what you have to say is more of a private situation and you want one-on-one talking, I do offer counseling, spiritual and pastoral counseling here, and you can make an appointment for that. Okay? So this is a time just to talk about whatever. It's your time. When I say, what did you like, what did you not like, what do you want to keep, what do you want to get rid of, I want you to understand that our services are fluid. We're not stuck in the archaic past of, you got to do it this way and this way and this way. We can change, and we have changed quite a bit over the last 4 years.
Do we need to be filtered?
Huh?
Do we need to be filtered?
Remember that you're still in church. That's the only thing I ask. Be respectful.
Of course.
That's all I ask. No, you don't need to be filtered. This is about your life, and church is a time for us to come together and help each other grow in faith, help each other put our faith together, put our love together, put our friendship together, and make us more of a stronger. That's why congregations and groups like this are stronger, because we can hold each other up.
Right.
Some of us have times when we are really down, and some of us have been through that, and we can offer our advice, we can offer our support. Most people don't take it. They think they know better, but that's okay. Maybe they'll learn. And maybe it'll make it a little easier down the road if they start to remember some of the things that we said and said and offered the advice of. So
sometimes it's
They just need a refresher.
Sometimes you need a refresher. You're right. Sometimes you just need a swift kick in the ass. That's what you need.
Amen to that.
You know. And I don't use a filter either. This is real life. This is about us. And you're going to find that I try not to be too haughty-taughty, although we do have quite a bit of pomp and circumstance in our services. I like that. I think it's respectful. I think it's a nod to the past, a nod to the times of Jesus Christ, and I think that it helps us remember and to be reverent. I love the tie. Very, very nice. I'm so glad you wore it.
Thank you.
Now we just got to get you a collared shirt.
I'm gonna spice it up.
I'm old school. I can't help it.
This is new school.
I know.
No, I'm kidding.
Actually, it's not new school. It's very 80s.
I just
is what
didn't
it
have one
is.
drag queen.
Very, very 80s. We can iron it.
I don't know how.
I don't either. I don't either. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about the service today, about the Transfiguration of Jesus. Most people would read this passage and go, "My God, what were they on?" They had some good LSD or something back then. These guys sitting there seeing these things, seeing Elijah and Moses. Elijah and Moses were and are very important in the Jewish faith. So when they see Jesus speaking with Elijah and Moses, it gives him that credibility they've been looking for, that final nod, if you will, that this is the Son of God. He's up there hobnobbing with the big wigs, right? So what we talked about in the sermon was taking these pictures of your life. Each time you take a picture, and remember in your head, you remember the picture, right? Picture of your life, and realizing that there are windows there. It's not just a picture. It's opportunities to change, opportunities to grow, opportunities to learn. And if we just look at picture all the time, we get stuck in thinking, is this all there is? Well, it's not. There's a lot more out there beyond the superficial staying in the shallow end of the pool. If you just do that all your life, you're really missing out. If you think that this is all there is, which I'm not complaining, I think this is a beautiful planet. I've heard a lot of people say that we are in hell now, that the earth is hell. Let me tell you something. Look around. Look around. God gave us a beautiful, sustaining planet to live with. And we have abused it and used it and torn it up and killed parts of it. Hopefully learn from that. And I think it's an Eden. I mean, what do you want? I mean, we have air to breathe. We have sunlight. We have beautiful nights with twinkling stars of the galaxies. We have food in abundance, really, if we didn't waste it. And then we have each other. What more could you want out of life? Love, friendship, sustainability. I can't think of anything else. Yes, we have times in our lives that it's, we feel kind of down. We have a pity party or we're depressed. But that's part of growing. That's part of life. That's part of learning. We would not fully understand what joy is if we do not fully understand what pain is. If you can't understand and respect pain, you can't fully understand and respect joy. So those are both gifts from God for us to learn from. Right? Okay. So it's time for you to talk to me. I want to hear you. Let's talk about what you thought of the sermon, what you think about Lent coming up. We got Ash Wednesday this Wednesday. It's one of my favorite services. Probably my second favorite service of the year. Or anything else that you'd like to bring up. Anything else you'd like to talk about. Whatever topic you'd like. I'm all ears. Go ahead.
I did have a thought though when you said what you just said about some people think that we're in hell now. I mean, that dissatisfaction and frustration. I mean, it can be good. I mean, as long as you use it to power forward like progression, or use it to power like to make it better. Like, I mean, it doesn't do any good to sit here and bitch about woe is me, woe is
exactly.
This. If you don't do something to try to make it better.
Well, it's the same thing we talk about, Tim. We talk about non digliamos verbos nec lingua sit in opere veritate, which roughly means your actions speak louder than your words. Let's put your do something. Don't just talk about it, right? Because if you're all talk, you're all bullshit.
And for those of you who do not know, Tim is actually one of the founding members
we're
and
not
one of the
going
people who
to
actually
I
stood
don't know.
by
It's not about
this man's side when he first opened the church.
That's amazing.
Tim was the first congregant
but
of the church.
Thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Gavin.
But on with that. Look, in our daily lives, if you're just talk, what are you? You're just words. You're just air. Okay? You have to put your action into action. You have to do something. You have to walk the walk, right? Because if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, what good is your word at that point? And you're only as good as your word. But if you constantly continue to grow and do things the same you're going to do, and even beyond, that makes you stronger as a person, makes you feel better. And it's the same way negatively. If you have negative thoughts, if you have a depression or you're upset about something, do something about it. You know, I hear people all the time saying, "I'm not going to vote. It's just one vote." So what? It's one vote. It's your duty, first of all, but it's your honor. It's your right. That's what you should be doing with your vote. And that's just kind of bringing in another aspect of putting your words into action. You can do one thing. You can vote. You can lobby. You can, call your congressman. You can do these things instead of about it, right?
Right.
The same way in every aspect of life. If you don't like your living situation, change it. Now, that's not always easy. Believe me, it's not. I mean, I know firsthand, as many of the other guys around here do, that, look, it can be tough. And sometimes you have to do things you don't want to do. And sometimes you have to abide by rules you definitely don't want to abide by. And you kind of lose your manhood in that sense. You can kind of feel like you're a child again, being told what to do and how to do it and when to do it. But you know what? You're under somebody else's roof, you have to abide by that. Or you can go sleep outside. You always have a choice.
True.
You always have a choice. You can go sleep under the bridge. I'm sure Lou Sterrett's got some room for you.
What's that?
The jail.
Oh,
3 hots and top.
You know what Blue Scary is. Sorry.
I think so.
So, what do you think about this story? The story of these guys go up on the mountain. I mean, it's kind of sensational.
Well, pardon me for a split second. I'm curious the question. So,
That doesn't surprise me, Gavin.
you know how my bladder is.
Just leave the door open, Gavin. I swear we're going to invest in a catheter for him.
Or a muzzle.
That's much.
Forgive me, Lord.
Yeah.
Also, my Snapchat that I did a lot of the pictures and part of the sermon on here, so if anybody would like to check that out,
That'd be great. That's fantastic. Thank you for doing that.
share the link and you can.
Thank you. Yeah, www.dallasulc.com. Make sure you put that in there with it.
Oh, I did.
Okay, so that they can always go to that.
Or they can add me by
Yeah.
my account.
Well, I mean, if they want to look at our website, you're doing promotions for the church. You want to get them to our website. You really do.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, ideally, we want to get them here. But
No.
part of the way of doing that is going through the website. They can learn about us, know who we
Right.
are, and know what to expect when they get here.
It's all listed on there.
Good. Good. Keep it up. Okay, I'm not going to wait for him. So let's just move on. Here's these guys. Okay, here they go up the mountain, right? And they see this vision. Jesus Christ his clothes turn dazzling white. His face glows like the sun. And he's talking to Elijah and Moses. I mean, what do you think about that? Like I said, most people would say, what the hell were they smoking? You know? What do you think about this sensational story, this explanation of Jesus being outed, basically, as the Son of God? I mean, he's been saying it all along, for the most part, kind of, hinting at it.
Well, it's the kind of thing we can only happen once, because I mean,
Yeah.
if it happened now, no one would believe it, and no one would, people would. Well, some people would believe it. Some people would believe it, but
I think it was so
I would
sensational
have-
that you would have to. I think it was so sensational that you would have to believe it.
right. Well, I mean back then, but I mean, if it happened now, though.
No, I think even now it would.
Unless they had proof or whatever. I mean, like, I wouldn't.
Talk about faith. You talk about that proof, that faith,
Yeah,
that
I mean,
faith.
that's true.
Look, if I'm with Jesus Christ anyway, I'm standing with Jesus Christ, I'm pretty damn happy as it is. But if I have my doubts like that, yeah, I think that it was so strong of an event, Tim, that
Yeah.
I mean that was kind of the idea of Elijah and Moses being there, and maybe it would be somebody different now. I don't know. Maybe it would be with who are some of the who else could it be? They would give proof that he is who he says he is.
Yeah.
But that was a very big thing.
Right.
And
People are probably hungry for change also. Or for,
Oh, sure.
You know, yeah.
We always are, aren't we?
Yeah.
And then he tells them as he's coming down the mountain after they've seen this, don't tell anybody that you've seen this until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead. Well, why would he do that? Honestly, think about it. Why would he do that? Anybody?
It's not creative panic, or it's not
There's a lot of different reasons. There's a lot of different interpretations. A lot of different, views on the subject. In my opinion, I think he wanted those few to really be sure. He wanted them as his closest confidants. But he wants the world to know him and learn through him, not through some vision. He wants them to learn how to be what he's trying to make them, what he's trying to prove to them, what he's trying to show to them. And I think that by living the life that Jesus lived is why we say following in the footsteps of Jesus. Being Christian is being Christ-like. That's the whole idea. He was giving an example to us. And to throw that in there like that would, I think, ruin it. We wouldn't see the example. We wouldn't follow in his footsteps. We just know that vision. Right? Does that make sense? Now let's back it up a little bit. The window and the picture. Does anybody understand the difference between that, between a window and a picture? So think about it this way. A picture is something you can look back on and remember. It's just something, it's static, it's there, it's a moment in time. A window, you look out of it and it's live. It's live, it's going on now. Something's going on out there. Something you could be a part of. Something
like
you can join. Huh?
Like a portal to something.
Like a portal, you could say that. It could be something you could learn, you could hear, you could see, you could become, you'd be part of. A window is action, right? We talk about our faith being of action, being men and women for others, doing something. That window is a time to put yourself into action. So it's important that we realize that, there's static moments that we remember, but we need to always have our eyes open and our ears peeled and listening, our eyes peeled and our ears open for those windows that come around, because they're always around us. We just have to open our eyes and ears and see them and hear them, because they're always there. When you feel like you're sitting in that shallow part of the pool, just sunburnt, just getting burnt out there in the sun, is this all there is? You're not connecting with your higher power. You're not connecting with God. You're not looking out the window and jumping through it sometimes. Right? Does that make sense?
It does.
Life has a ton to offer you that we miss every day. We miss opportunities every single day to make our lives better. Because of arrogance, because of greed, because of self-righteousness, because of just stupidity. If you realize how much better your life will be when you become more humble and more giving and more selfless, it's amazing how your life changes. We talk about being men and women for others. When you give without expectation of anything in return, of your abilities, of your time, of your word, of your money, all of it, when you give freely to those who need it,
Also,
you never ask for anything in return because you don't have to. It all comes back to you. Go ahead.
Also, it's like 10% of your income is that.
That's tithe. Yeah, we're not necessarily talking about that, but yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's correct. What we're talking about is being a man. Let me just go with tithing. Tithing is, yes, the standard. The Bible asks that you give 10% of your earnings, which is not a whole bunch. It's 10 cents on the dollar, for your church. The church,
of course,
lives on your donations, and
right.
We're not selling things here. We're not selling Jesus. We're not selling faith. Right. We're not selling books and stuff. We're not. Some of the guys are. Some of them out there are. They're selling their faith and selling, entrance into heaven or whatever else they're trying to sell. But that's not what we do here. But it does require that if you like coming here, if you like the fellowship, if you're enjoying learning with each other and growing, every week we grow. I believe that every day. I mean, look, I've been doing this a long time, and every week I learn something new about my faith, about God, about me, about you, and it's amazing what's still. I mean, knowledge is power, folks, and the more we learn, the more we grow, and the more powerful we get, and the stronger we become. And Sundays are a great time to do that together.
Like donations, like
Donations. Okay, what I was talking about there was being a man and woman for others. Okay, when we talk about being a man and a woman for others, which is our motto here, and I noticed we didn't have the light on for some reason either, but that's okay. It's Akwe Ali, which it says at the bottom of the sign up there, which means men and women for others. And what that means is live your life not for yourself, but for others. And that doesn't mean, well, let me tell you what it does mean. It means giving of yourself. What does that mean? That means God gave us all a lot of different talents and a lot of different abilities, okay? If you make us all the same, it'd be pretty boring, right? But some of us can teach. Some of us can cook. Some of us can make money. Some of us can sew. Some of us can do yard work. Some of us can build. And what you need to do is not necessarily always be doing that for profit. Those are things you give to those who need it. So if you see somebody who needs something, you give it to them. You help them. You put your life into action. Even if you don't think you have a talent in the world, go volunteer at church. Do something not for yourself, but for others every day.
Makes you feel good about yourself.
Well, it's what you're supposed to do. That's how we live life. That's why we say we're men and women for others, right? Just a moment. And the reason we have that as a motto is I'll tell you firsthand. I'm not a saint. I'm not a holy relic, although some people have called me worse. I'm not some leader to follow necessarily. But I can tell you what my life's been like. I can tell you what I've been through. And I can tell you what God has shown me. And that's all I can teach you, because that's all I know. Okay? What I can tell you about being a man for others, and I'll tell you when I learned this, was I actually borrowed the concept from Jesuit here in Dallas, which is where I went to high school. And their motto is men for others. Okay? That's where I learned to be a man for others, where I started. I don't adhere to it all the time. I don't adhere to it as much as I'd like to. But I give as much as I can. Well, no, I don't. I give as much as I'm willing to. I could give more. But because of that, because of my giving, I'm not just saying this to toot my own horn here that I give, I want to tell you that I don't have to ask for hardly anything anymore. If I need it, if I truly need it, it comes to me. I know I'm not going to go hungry. I know I'm not. Because it's not that it's coming, it's not that it's owed to me. I don't expect anything in return for what I give. But I know that because I have given, my refrigerator will not go empty. I know that. That's my faith. That's what I believe, and it hasn't happened yet. Whenever it gets low, it gets filled somehow. Whenever I need some money for a bill that can't be paid, somehow it comes in. Whenever a computer goes down, somebody's there to help us. And it always has been that way since I chose to become this person, this man for others. It's an amazing and very scary concept to go on, because you have to really trust in it to give your last dollar to somebody because they may need it more than you do. Trusting that you're going to be okay, that God's going to take care of you. It's tough, but it's true. I want to stop there for just a second. I meant to say during the service, and I'm sorry I didn't. Today's service was dedicated to, it was in their program, it was on the second page there too, a gentleman named Bart Barton. Today was the anniversary of his death. He was my uncle. He was Aunt Patsy's husband. He was a music producer, a country music producer, one of the founders of the, I have to look at I can't remember all the things he's done. He's a member of the American Music Association, American Country Music Association, the Canadian Music Association, all kinds of different things. He was really big in the industry. They called him the General. The General was his name. In fact, when I worked for them for a while, when I was a kid, they had business cards made up for me that said the Junior General. I was also good. Went to Nashville with him a couple times. Amazing man, a vocal coach, and companion and spouse of my Aunt Patsy, who we all know I adore and love. Be 93 coming up here in March. So I'll ask is that you pray for Aunt Patsy today, because I know it's a hard time to have those days and remember. And she puts on a pretty stoic face, but
She what?
she puts on a stoic face. She puts on a happy face, and you know, but I know it's hard. She's there for everybody, and Patsy's one of those women for others. That's how she survives. That's her, it's deep within her that's who she is. And she didn't have children of her own, and there's a reason for that, I believe, because she's taking care of all of her nieces and nephews when we needed it, when our parents couldn't be there, when our parents weren't there because of one reason or another. You know, she's always been there in the greatest times of need for us. So, amazing woman, and her husband was an amazing man. So I'm sorry that nobody here would know him, but he was a large man with for most of the life that I knew him, he had a big white beard, mostly a bald head with this little snow cap around the side. Uncle Bart. Isn't that right, Munchkin? Hi. You come see me? Okay. All right, we'll stop soon and get some dinner, okay? All right, just a little bit. Got to be the center of attention here.
May I run to the restroom real quick?
You may.
Sorry.
And start thinking about any questions you might have when you get back. I know it's a contemplative place, the restroom. Anybody else have anything to talk about, want to bring up, want to go over? Munchkin, not you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Why are you so excited? Yeah. Okay, that's all. Go on. Go. Your breath could knock over a cow. Anything else, guys? I know it's kind of out there. It's kind of strange. It's kind of, listen for the opportunities. Watch for the opportunities. Always be aware of your surroundings. Always know that something is going on, that you have a choice to make. And we make choices every second of every day. We do. You're choosing to sit here right now and listen to me. You don't have to. You can get up and walk out. You can go to the bathroom. You could decide to have a fight and start murdering everybody. I don't know. I mean, you have a decision every day of your life. Anybody that says they have no choice is wrong. You have a choice. Even if you're incarcerated in jail, you have a choice. Choices every day. Now, your choices are more limited. But all I'm asking you to do is choose to follow your heart. Follow what you know down in your gut is right. And watch for those opportunities to improve your life, improve the world, improve somebody else's life for the day. Don't always be thinking about yourself. Think about the person who's walking by you. Think about, look, I've said it again, the story of, you're walking down the street, and what do? You hold your head down and just kind of ignore everybody as you're walking by them? Or do you say hello? Simple word. Hello. Or hey. Or how you doing? Or just nod your head to the people going by. Let me tell you something. You do that, and that person that's coming this way, you may have just saved his life. Because that bridge you just crossed back there, he was going to jump off of. And because you nodded your head and said, hey, how's it going? That person decided not to jump. It takes something so minuscule in your life. One word, even not even a word, just a tap of the head. Just say, and you could change so much. People think they don't have any power in this world. Let me tell you something. You got a lot of power. You have a lot of power. Your words, your actions, your smile. You can change the world with those things. If you believe you can. And I'm telling you right now, you can. I don't care how insignificant you think you are, how much of a grain of sand you think you are on the beaches of this earth. You are significant because you've been given these abilities to change the world. Does everybody get that? You know that? You understand what I'm saying? It takes time to believe it. Because we've been told so many times that we're not significant. We're insignificant. We don't matter. Our vote doesn't matter. It does. It does matter. God didn't create any junk. Or as the blood pressure said, God don't create no junk. Right? He doesn't. You were not a mistake. You were not an accident. You were put here for a reason. And if you can stay on that path that he gave to you, on the day you were born, which is one of the hardest things to do in this life, stay on that path. If you can stay on that path and follow that path, I guarantee you, you will change the world. I promise you, you'll change the world. I'm tired of ad-libbing here. I'm waiting on him to come out of the bathroom so we can pray and close out. Okay? So if anybody else, anything else pops in anybody's head, now's the time. It's a good time to jump out there. So what'd you think? Did you enjoy it? The service? You get anything out of it? Cool. Cool. Good. I'm glad. It's tough going into a new place like that and not understanding really the concept of what they're talking about. You know, kind of all the rituals and all the beliefs and whatnot. And I've been to a lot of different churches and temples and synagogues and mosques. And it's almost unsettling because you kind of feel like you don't belong. Because people are doing things, they know where they're supposed to stand up and they know they're supposed to sit down and say this and there. And that's okay. I think God puts that unsettled feeling into us so we'll stay alert and learn something and maybe get something from it.
The Pride that's coming up the float, it's in how many weeks?
Pride is the beginning of June, the first weekend in June. It's
So-
$350 for just to get into the parade.
So we need to come up with some ideas.
We need to come up with $350 first. Because I don't have it. I mean, it seems like an insurmountable amount for me right now, but if everybody would chip in and do something.
Volunteer and do.
If we could get people to start doing some things and get out there and helping, get the word out a little bit, we can probably make it. But remember, we still have to rent. We're gonna have to rent a car, or find somebody who's gonna let us, or who's gonna drive a car for us.
I know people who I know.
Okay.
Yes.
Do that, and then we still have to buy things for that day, which we'll have to have water for everybody. We'll have to have I already got the awning.
I can get that donated. I'm sure from like Paul's.
I'm just saying. It's very simple. We're not doing a bunch out there. We walk out there with a banner, and everybody walks behind. We can't throw anything because it's a $200 throw fee. If you throw anything, it's $200 extra. For
I want to throw stuff.
Well, I understand. But if you're going to come up with $200, we'll throw stuff. But I mean, then you got to buy the stuff to throw. We
throw water balloons. They don't allow that.
That'd be cool. Yeah, but they wouldn't allow that. You understand? You're going through Fair Park. It's a little bit different because Fair Park is a historic. It's a historic monument. The entire place is a historic district, basically. So they do require some decor and respect down there.
So any money that we raise, like everybody volunteering, extra that would go towards like the church or towards.
What do you mean volunteering? Volunteering at the church?
Doing work to raise money for
If y'all, whatever way y'all can figure out to raise money, I'm all for it. As long as you're not doing something illegal. Okay. Yes, I would love to go to Pride again this year. I would. Last year I'm glad we did it. I wanted a little bit more than what we got, but sometimes that's not the way God works. And God told me, you're not going to ride the back of that BMW, you're going to get out there and carry that banner, which is what I did. So this year I'd like to ride in the back of a BMW or a Mercedes or a Rolls Royce no, I'm just kidding. That doesn't really matter to me. I'd be glad to march with everybody else. But I would like to have a car there. I mean, it gives us something for people to look at. You know what I'm saying? So, look, we don't have much time on that. I'm telling you, we got maybe a week, maybe two to make that final decision. It's got to happen.
I have a couple ideas. I'll run by you and see.
We'll talk about it. Okay? All right. Well, if that's all you got for me today, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I did. Let's circle up and close in prayer and get our week going, hopefully, in a positive direction.
Cheers to that.
Okay. Oh, God,
Hold my foot.
What?
I said hold my foot.
Okay. Come on in here. Would anybody else like to say the prayer today besides me? I always like to offer this to anybody who might feel that they want to preach today. All right. Father in heaven, we thank you for this time we've had here together. We thank you for the ability just to be here together. And we thank you for the knowledge and strength you have given us through each other and through your word. We ask this week that you help us to continue to grow and to continue to love. That's right, Munchkin. And to continue to give, be men and women for others. And Munchkin says, continue to give treats. watch over us, watch over our families this week, watch over those who are suffering, those who are dealing with devastation in their lives. We ask all of this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Thank you. I enjoyed it. Y'all can stick around as long as you'd like. We do some fellowship here. I'm going to probably get something to eat. Anybody else hungry?
Yes, I am. But,